Benefits of weightlifting include increased metabolism, growing a big booty, bulging biceps, and you'll literally live longer. Keltie, we know you've been telling us this. Explain this title. The reality is when you go on a fitness journey and achieve your goals, you don't just get to throw in the towel. It's not like winning the lottery. I won it, boom, don't need to enter again. You gotta do it again and again and again. And sometimes life gets in the way and you're off your game. AKA me in June when I went traveling to France, I just got out of the habit of weightlifting. I just got on my cardio gain. I got on my Pilates, yoga, and then I told everyone part of my workout routine was weights 3 times a week. And then I reflected and said, Keltie, you are indeed not doing weights 3 times a week. Time to get back on it. So for the next 30 days, I'm gonna bring you through how I build a workout routine, how I structure my weightlifting, and how I stay motivated / get remotivated / like, let's just do this together. Accountability. That was aggressive. Be gentle with yourself, unless you need to grind. Step number 1, we need a plan. There's 4 professionals I really look up to when it comes to weight training and exercise, and I've combined all their protocols into one simplified protocol that we're gonna follow. Hear me out. 1, Dr. Andy Galfin. We're gonna use his 10-step protocol to designing a workout. 2, Peter Attia, expert in longevity. We're using his goals. Step 3, Dr. Stacy Sims, who specializes in women's exercise. And step 4, Stephanie McGregor, a local professional who I got personally assessed by. Here's what we're doing. 1, choose a goal, a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, timeline. So what I'm doing, specific, sticking to a weight training plan for 30 days so it becomes a habit. 2, measurable, measurable. 3, accountable, this and you. YouTube, real good for keeping you accountable. 4, realistic, and T, timely, 30 days. Simplistic. And specifically why I'm doing this is because it's part of my Centennial Decathlon, which if you've seen the Peter Attia video, yeah, you know. My dopamine, she gone. Let me tell you a little insider knowledge of why you can't stick to your goals, at least for me, is planning is very important. It is very important to have a plan, a mission, like make a goal, reverse engineer the daily things you have to do to get to the goal, do said daily simple tasks. For me, if I have a full planning day like we did yesterday, that's the dopamine. That's the how I got all the satisfaction. I don't actually need to do anything. Come Monday morning, I got no motivation. I'm tired. I had a bad sleep. I don't want to. I already got the hit. Like, motivation, 0. But here's how we beat it. I've told myself, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do everything, but with 0 effort. Just through the motions. Bicep curl, 1 pound. Squat, body weight. Absolutely 0 effort. Lazy. It's like a practice run. And then eventually this funny thing happens, you get there, and I know I'll get more energy. And if I don't, that's okay. Tomorrow will be a bit more. Today, it's just getting back into a routine of something I'm gonna be honest, I don't really want to lift weights. But we gotta. Because some habits aren't fun, but they're good for us. And once you start doing it, you enjoy it. So I know I'll enjoy it. But right now, I'm gonna go curl a 1 pounder. So we made it to the gym. That's the hardest part, it's getting to the gym. And I went through it. Yes, it was not my best workout, but this was like an establishment. This is like getting back in the routine, kind of getting a feeling for how weak or strong I am right now. And there's no waste in this. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned of fitness. It's like your worst workouts still aren't like a waste of time. So sometimes if you go and have a crappy workout, you still worked out. Not every workout has to be the hardest thing ever. And I think just mentally doing that makes it easier to go to the gym. Because I think that was the most daunting thing with weight training when I got really into it, is sometimes just knowing like, oh, I gotta go and do so much. And there is days like that, but Grit, if you actually want a good book recommendation, Grit by Angela Duckworth is an amazing book. And I'll sum it up. Grit is something you build like a muscle. The more you consistently do it, the easier it gets. So I just kind of tell myself like willpower is a muscle to build. And so today I'm just building my willpower muscle for the harder workouts ahead. Why I specifically just want to get into the habit of weight training is because when I'm hopefully 100, I'm able to hike, swim, dance, run, play with dogs, go shopping. Step 2, identify your defense. What is going to get in the way of me achieving my goal? Injury, time, work. And what are my non-negotiables that I have to work around? Holiday season. Jet lag, non-negotiables, I gotta work. I got other challenges going on. I'm in the office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I gotta work out before or after and still get 8 hours of sleep and have somewhat of a social life. Is how to start/get back to it, which was my goal with week number 1. I believe start as small as possible. If you're currently not weightlifting, say you just have to do 5 minutes. Start as small as possible. So at the end of the week, you accomplished it 100% or almost 100% and you feel satisfied. And you know what? That is so important because that's what creates momentum. Versus I've in the past had this crazy workout that I'm not able to achieve. I only do 50% of it, which is still good, but I feel defeated at the end of the week. It's harder to build that momentum. And here's how I make it as easy as possible to get to the gym, even if it's just for 5 minutes. 1, I lay out all my outfits for the week on Sunday. 2, I pre-plan my workouts in the calendar. You've heard it 1,000 times. Treat your workout like a doctor's appointment. It works. 3, only plan for 3 workouts. That's kind of like the minimum for me. I was like 3 weightlifting workouts is great. I know it's enough, but not too little, not too much. And then eventually, once I'm kind of in the habit of that, sometimes I just naturally end up doing 4. And most importantly, build systems, not goals. Figure out your long-term goal. Reverse engineer to today. What's a little thing you can do every single day to achieve that goal? And then create systems/routines that is just autopilot in your life. 3, timeline. Make a realistic time frame. Look ahead at your calendar and work backwards. Account for any vacations, yada, yada, yada. Okay, whipped out my calendar and I'm flying to Edmonton December 11th and then Sweden December 15th. So I do have to account for my motivation when I'm severely jet lagged. Maybe pre-book a workout with family and friends when I'm traveling. I realized today I only had about 15 minutes and I was gonna throw in the towel, but I realized 15 minutes of weightlifting is still better than nothing. And you'd be shocked how much you can get in 15 minutes. I supersetted everything, got in, got a bunch of squats, got some lunges, got just the tried and true and moved on. So sometimes if all you have is 15 minutes, it's worth it. Step 4, weekly training frequency. How often can you actually work out in a week? The advice I would get, I'm going to take from Dr. Stacy Sims, which is weight training, specific compound movements 3 to 4 times a week. I could say 4 times, but I know I'm trying to get back into this habit. I'm going to start small and just 3 sessions, about 45 minutes a week. Account for hurdles, which loves to creep up in week number 2, as it did for me. Jet lag. I flew to Sweden to visit Megs, my boyfriend, and I knew I was going to be jet lagged. So how was my motivation going to be? 0. And I used the oldest trick I've talked 100 times. I told myself I just have to go to the gym for 30 seconds. I just have to go and do 1 stretch and then I can leave. And once you get there and you do 1 stretch, you're like, oh, I'll do another stretch. And once you're stretched, you're warm up and then it's a placebo effect. It's like we had spinach and pasta sauce for children and we tell ourselves we only have to go to the gym and then we go longer. 5, exercise selection. First, I have to make sure I'm doing things I'm comfortable with and already know how to do. 2, have a balance of different movement patterns and muscle groups. That might be push-pull days, lower body or upper body. It's not just biceps. And figure out how I'll progress, whether it be reps, weight, or distance. I'm pretty good about being intuitive, but every week I'm just gonna, with each exercise, do a few extra reps or just make sure to increase the weight by a few pounds. Now I'm gonna specifically pick out the exercises. I'm gonna use Dr. Stacy Sims' app because I'm really into how she is incorporating women's longevity. So I'm gonna use her app, which is a bit more of a cost-efficient way for me to get access to her. And then about a year ago, I got a running assessment from Stephanie McGregor, who gave me some exercises to work on to account for imbalances I have in my muscles when running. And so I'm going to throw in a couple of those. If you needed a reason to work on weights, I'm going to show you right now. So in my last weight training workout, I don't know why this gym is designed like this, but the weight I needed was on a top shelf and there was a hook and I didn't see the hook. So I went to lift the weight and it got stuck on the hook and my finger, big metal rod, weight dropped on it. I was like, I just broke my finger. I just broke my finger. There's no way I just dropped a 25-pound weight with my finger on, like, it was like perfect situation to break a bone. And my finger went numb. This finger is completely numb. I really hope it didn't break it. It looks straight. After, a couple minutes, I just let some butt. It's fine. It's fine. It's been a couple days. It's good. And that was a reminder of like, there's many things to work on bone density, but one thing is weight training. And that's such a reminder for us all. And I think the older you get, the more you realize it. But when you're young and dumb, you're like, oh, bones heal and all that. But there will get to be a point when we're older that if we don't have strong bone density, we could break something. And that was so eye-opening of like, I'm so lucky that didn't break. And this is almost like a message from my future self. Like 70-year-old Keltie looking back was like, thank God we did this weight training because that would have broke. Now there's many other reasons, but that was such a, wow, I'm so lucky that didn't break. And I just think we just have to realize how important it is and really encourage women to do it without it like having to be their whole personality. Because I think that's one thing that stops a lot of women. I don't think it's expressed like how important it is for women. And it's one of those things like you just have to do it. I don't enjoy sleeping. I still gotta sleep. It's like one of those like key things we have to do. And it doesn't have to become your personality. Sleeping doesn't have to be your personality. Drinking water doesn't have to be your personality. It's my personality. Samantha, go drink some water, but it's just something we all have to do, and we have to encourage ourselves to do it. 6, exercise order. Simply do the most important thing first. My heaviest days are gonna be earlier in the week because I'm refreshed mentally and physically, and I'm gonna do my heavier, more 1 rep max things early in the workout, because to really get the benefits of like 1 rep max training, sprint training, you wanna be like 100% ready to go versus, later on in the workout, you'll be tired. So I'm gonna do my heaviest, lowest reps, fastest things early in the week and early in the workout. So it is Monday of week 3, and I actually did a Pilates workout instead of a weight session. I'm still trying to do Pilates once a week, maybe reformer like every 2 weeks, mat once a week. I think that's an important thing sometimes with fitness is like, I have a bad tendency of when you're in your Pilates area, your weight training area, your running area, you eliminate the other. I think if you're someone who's getting into running, you might be scared of losing your muscle. And I've always said it's less about the running causing you to lose the muscle, and it's that you start running and you start weight training less and you lose the muscle. Now, there also comes to be a point in your life where you're doing too much of everything, and then that's when to step back and reflect. But moral of the story is I'm also trying to stick with my Pilates while I add weights while not overtraining. And so I did 1 reformer class this week because balance. 7, intensity/load. Select either weight, speed, or heart rate zones that align with my goals, and increase about 3% each week. Because I'm really focusing on strength and trying to get stronger, I'm just gonna try and increase my weight volume by 3% every week. 8, volume. Increase the right ranges, reps, yada, yada, specific on your goals. If you're like, what? Here's a little guideline. Typically, strength and speed, you wanna have lower reps, higher weight. Endurance and muscle size, even you could debate, you want lower weight, higher reps. And then incorporate for deload weeks. Now, this would normally be around every 4 to 6 weeks. We will have that planned out after this challenge, which actually aligns with Christmas. So it kind of works out Christmas holidays. I'm going to make my deload week. Also, another thing to do, which is kind of interesting, Dr. Stacey Sims said to try and align your deload weeks with your menstrual cycle. Hint to a video I have working on. Staying motivated after the dopamine's gone, which I needed in week 3. The first few weeks, it's nice. You have that dopamine, you have that motivation, just that natural high, and yet you haven't quite built the habit. And there's a lull in about. There's science out that a habit can take 21 days to 66 days. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's not a solid number. But around this time is where it's not a habit, but no new dopamine novelty factor. And you got to get through this week. I tried to set up a chest row in this gym and I can't. If something else, gym intimidation, which I'm still vulnerable to, especially when it comes to filming. When I got back from Sweden, a new gym opened up here in Vancouver, which I've been waiting years to open because it's actually originated from my hometown, Edmonton. So I just love the franchise. And guess what? I was nervous. It was day number 1 of the gym and I was gonna be that girl filming my workouts. I didn't have the balls. I was like, I don't want these eyes. I don't want people to be like, oh, what's she doing over there doing it? And I didn't want to be rude. And I was like, I'm way too nervous to film in this gym. And so that explains these wonderful camera angles you got. Sorry about that. But then as I continue to work out there and get a feeling, I always remind myself that everyone has that same social anxiety for the most part. Like when I walk into any gym, I'm like, oh my God, everyone's staring at me. And everyone else is like, oh my God, everyone's staring at me that I'm doing this. And guess what? I spent the whole time thinking that I have absolutely no time to stare at anyone else because I'm scared they're staring at me. And obviously there's going to be assholes out there, but you can't live your life assuming the asshole. So just remind yourself when you're scared that people are staring at you, they are having that same feeling. And we're all self-absorbed in our own little worlds. We're not paying attention to anyone else. A couple tips. 1, use the Mel Robson 5-second rule. I'm going to butcher it, but pretty much anytime like you don't want to get off the couch, you just say, I have to get up in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you oddly do it. It doesn't always work, I'm gonna be honest, but sometimes like if I'm on the couch and I don't wanna get up, I'm just saying count to 5, you get up and you just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, suddenly you're up. So if you're like, oh, I gotta get to the gym, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And another hack is sometimes I just tell myself, Keltie, just because you don't wanna do something doesn't mean you don't do it. I know it sounds simple, but something about like, oh, I don't wanna do this, and you just start, it's like, just because I doesn't want to isn't validating, always. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, but I'm going to anyways. I don't feel like drinking water, but I'm going to anyways. Tina, go drink some water. And of course, not just water, you need proper hydration. And if you're doing weightlifting, you have a new workout routine, something to consider is supplementing electrolytes. And my favorite electrolyte that I'm so obsessed with is, of course, Element. Now, why is supplementing with electrolytes so important? When we sweat, we don't just sweat out water, we also sweat out electrolytes, which are so vital to have energy, have your nervous system react properly, all things that are so important to having good workouts. Now, for me, I used to get debilitating calf cramps when I was in my big weightlifting phase. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just my calves would hurt so much because I was in my anti-salt era. I was told salt was bad, salt would make me bloat. Started supplementing with electrolytes, boom, haven't had a calf cramp since. Knock on wood. And the electrolyte I've been using for the last 2 years consistently every single day because it tastes delicious, its science-based ratio is, of course, Element, which we love here on the channel because of its 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. It's easy. I always have one in my purse, whether I know I'm going to be out drinking to help, with the hangover, or if I just randomly need for a workout when I'm traveling. There's so much benefits. I love this, trusted by professional athletes and tastes delicious, science-based formula. What more could you want in an electrolyte? And of course, I'm not going to talk about it and not give you guys a deal. If you go to my link, drinkelement.com/Keltie, you will get one of their sample packets with your purchase. It's a great way to try all 8 flavors or share with a salty friend. Once again, that's drinkelement.com/Keltie. Thank you, Element, for sponsoring this video and all my workouts. 9 rest intervals. The biggest thing is you want to make sure they match your goals. High rest periods, so 2 to 5 minutes. This is really if you want to work on increasing speed, power, strength. Moderate, so 1 to 3 minutes rest in between. That's more for hypertrophy, muscle growth. And lower, 15 seconds to 90 seconds, that's more endurance based. And last section, chaos management. Now that could be this channel. Anyways, we gotta look back and find everything that I've fallen off in the past, and we're gonna figure out some solutions beforehand. For me, it's 2 things. One, either life gets in the way and so I stop prioritizing it. So that's like Christmas and travel. So I'm already accounting for, I can do 3 workouts in those travel days and have a deload week. And also not overcommitting, not thinking I have to suddenly become a weightlifting girl, that this is my whole personality. It's just me. Weightlifting means I'm gonna get into bodybuilding and powerlifting and then throw everything else I've worked on. I'm just sprinkling in some weight training because it's good for me. I'm not going 0 to 100. I'm not gonna sign up for a powerlifting meet. I'm not going to do more. I'm just doing 3 times a week, 45 minutes. We're going to lift some heavy stuff. Simple. Might be like, okay, Keltie, but I don't really like weightlifting. I don't care. I'm a little harsh truth right now. Specifically at women, it is really important. There is, dare I say an epidemic? That's a scientific word, so I can't just throw that around. Of women with osteoporosis. We are very, very high risk at it when we hit menopause. And I know a lot of you are far away from that. But guess what? That's the difference between being able to walk your dog, get up off a couch, be able to be with your grandkids, have a quality of life. And our hormones are tied to that. And the best way to prevent it, which science has proven again and again, is just lift something heavy. Just lift something heavy. Now, there is other ways. You don't just have to lift a dumbbell or barbell. So if it is just using a Pilates machine, resistance bands, it's better than nothing. But if you really want to prevent that, and if you want to have a quality of life, if you want to live longer, lift heavy. Doesn't have to be that much. Doesn't have to be that often. Like even for me, 3 times a week. And when you're younger, yes, you can have more aesthetic rules. You can kind of just get to the gym, get into the habit. In your 20s, just get into the routine of weightlifting. But once you get your 30s, 40s, 50s, the recommendations from Dr. Stacy Sims and similar professionals is you want to really less focus on lower rates and just focus on getting strong. So actually less reps, higher weights. I was just editing a video, so it's like footage of a couple weeks ago, and my butt, it's so flat. I had to laugh. It is so hard for me to gain muscle. That's just me. We all have our struggles. It's very hard. But the cool thing is, if you're someone like me right now who's like lost some muscle, you took some time on, muscle memory is a thing. Which is kind of crazy. So I remind myself of that. I'm like, it will come back faster. But I don't know how to say it. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Sometimes I just remind myself, I used to be like, oh my God, it's such a big deal. I'm such a bad fitness guy. It'll come back. You can get it back. Like, it's not like that was the end. I'll never have a big butt, but it'd be better than the Just tell yourself you just have to get to day 21 and then reward yourself. I used to be under the impression that like never reward yourself, because I had this idea, if I gave myself a reward, a treat of something for accomplishing a goal, I would no longer be hungry for that goal. Like I always had to be chasing something. So I'd achieve the goal and be like, oh, to keep hungry, to keep wanting to work towards that goal, I gotta just keep going. So I would just push off these rewards. And then guess what I deal with? Chronic burnout. There's multiple definitions of burnout, but one of the ones, which is actually from the book Burnout is constant output without reward. Simple as that. You're just going and going and going. And there gets to be a point no matter what, you're like, why am I doing this? And day 21 is going to be a tough one. So if you get there, treat yourself. And that will just be a little bit of dopamine hit. Speaking of dopamine, I don't know if there's science behind this, but this is what I do. Is one of the reasons gambling and social media is so addictive is you don't know when you're getting the reward. There's that hit of like, oh, you might get it, you might not. And just that randomness makes it even more addicting. So sometimes I like to do that with my goals. You got to check in with yourself because before you know it, you're treating yourself every single day. But I just think, you know what? Day 18, I'm going to go buy a new sports bra. Day 38, Starbucks treat. Day 40, book a trip to Ibiza. Just kidding. Financial responsibility. But I like to have a little list of rewards. And every once in a while, when you're a little down, boop, reward. So that might not work for you. You might need to be a bit more systematic. But in my mind, the placebo effect is that I'm hijacking my own dopamine to make it more addictive. Huberman and all them are sitting there and be like, doesn't really work that. Shh. Placebo is the most effective drug of all time. Fun fact. Is this the most science-based channel because I constantly gaslight myself with a placebo effect to be healthy? Yes. Mover side, Peter Attia. Science. Now, specifically, I'm going to talk a little bit to the women. I know there's some of you guys watching, but primarily women weren't talked to you. Some tips to think about when you're incorporating weightlifting from Dr. Stacy Sims. 1, track your cycle. I'm going to do a whole video on cycle syncing. Now, pretty much though, just know paying attention to it will help you realize your own motivation. There'll be times in the cycle when you have lower motivation, lower energy. So it's going to be harder to get to the gym and harder to get PRs. There's times in your cycle where you have more energy, more motivated. So naturally plan your hardest weeks around when you know in your cycle, you're going to have the most energy. 2, make sure you're fueling properly, getting enough protein, carbohydrates. Specifically, the more energy you have, the better workouts you have, so the better results you have. Simple as that. 3, embrace heat. One of the biggest things is overtraining. You could debate there's no such thing as overtraining, it's just under recovering. Sleeping, fueling properly, also using things like sauna have been proven to help with recovery. And regardless, even if they're not direct, for me, even just the amount they help my sleep and just relax, sauna is such a nice way to just like force myself to relax. 4, learn to listen to your body. Everyone's menstrual cycle is going to affect them a little bit different, so I don't want to give blanket things till I do a full video about it, but just kind of track yourself in your own cycle, in your own work life of like, when do I feel the best, worst? Even then, that can help dictate if you should work out in the morning or night. Plan a break, which is me leading into week number 5. Something I also used to never do is I used to just tell myself, I'm just going to keep working out, and when I feel down, I'll take a week off. No, you won't. Because when you feel down, you're like, oh, I'm an awful human and I need to work out harder and do more. No, you have to plan deload weeks. So weeks where you scale back on the volume, or maybe you make it to the gym only 1/3 of the time, or you decide to switch up a weightlifting with a Pilates or a yoga or hot girl walk. Just plan every 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 8, whatever works for you. I like about every 5 weeks is just taking some time away from it. Because when it's planned, that means you achieved your goal 100%. You followed the plan 100%. So there's that sense of accomplishment, momentum. Versus when you don't plan it and you're just randomly like, oh, I'll take some time off. It's like, it's a feel of failure because it's not accounted for in your plan. That's a nice way to keep that momentum going versus like sometimes like, oh yeah, no, I'm not feeling too good. I'm going to take a week off. And sometimes, yes, listen to your body, but you know how that can be a vicious cycle, and suddenly it's 2 weeks and 3 weeks and you're like, oh, I'm a crappy human. You're not a crappy human. We're just all monkeys. And we pretend we're not. We're just susceptible to our own emotions. And that also helps with burnout. I think one of the reasons I resented weight training so much, because I was big into it, it was just like I never gave myself time away from it. And I just grew to resent it. And so when I finally took a break from it and realized I could, after so many years, I was like, I had that disdain for it. And it made me not want it because I just remember that full burnout feeling. And it's not that I hated it. It was just like I burnt myself out from it. And that was my last memory of it. So I think when you plan in these breaks, these times away from it, it allows you to remember why you love it. Because I've said this time and time again, if you eat chocolate cake every day, you'll grow to hate chocolate cake. And who hates chocolate cake? Who hates chocolate cake? See, I can't even say it. You eat it. It's cake. Someone comments, I hate chocolate cake. I know. I'm allergic to avocados. We all got our thing. So, great thing is I have weight training back. I just naturally now am going back to the gym 3 times a week, like my routine says. And it's just so important for women specifically. It is such an important way. As much as like Pilates is great for changing your body and Pilates is really in, a lot of the things you can get from Pilates, like in terms of muscle tone, you can just get a lot faster with weight training. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Like I found my body doesn't look any different if I just kind of did resistance training through Pilates versus weight training. But weight training, you get a lot faster. It's a lot better for you. And Pilates is just a bit more limited. Now, Pilates, I think, is a great part in your routine. So they're not enemies, they're friends. They work better together, but they're not one person. So I always think of Pilates as a bit more for engaging those smaller muscle groups. It's about working on range of motion through my strength. And it's also just a calmer thing when I want to have some resistance training, but I just need something a bit more mindful, which I find is really helpful for my stress. Versus weight training, especially lifting heavy, is what's going to allow me to run and walk and lift up dogs and kids when I'm 60 years old. And if I fall, be able to get back up. And I know that sounds simple, but it's very important, especially with the hormone changes us women go through at menopause. So it's one of those things, we just gotta do it. We just gotta lift some heavy things. So, but find a way you enjoy it. Weightlifting is one of those funny things. Once you get into the habit of it, it feels satisfying, it feels good. You see the changes in your body. It's a really nice way to just start seeing the momentum from lifting a bit more every single time. And also it's a great compliment for my runners, because if you just wanna keep running and avoid injury, weight training. And sometimes it's simple as that, just getting something back in the routine. I no longer get a big crazy before and after. The reality is my newbies gains ended over 10 years ago. I could show you before and after, but it was really just probably more my glycogen stores are full. And muscle memory is a crazy thing, so I get it. But I'm just in that consistency phase and it's not sexy. There's no crazy sexy before and after. It's just keep trucking along. And so if you just feel like you're just trucking along, you're doing good. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're just trucking along. We're going. We're getting our zone 2, our VO2 max, our strength training, stability, and we just keep on trucking, literally. And then one day when we're 80 and we look back, we're like, cool, I can still do that. But I don't lift for size, so there's no crazy before and after. Anyways, let me know down in the comments how you guys, any hacks you have for incorporating weightlifting back into your life. And thank you for listening, and hope you have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.